out there that it's okay to talk to somebody about these things if you feel you're being abused financially. Telephone scams are a huge issue, and so we just want people to be aware that, you need to be really careful about what information you give over the phone, that type of thing. So, anything else that I forget?
They just say that the scammers are getting better and better.
Yeah.
So you really do have to be, I was just mentioning that, I got 4 calls just this week which I knew, it was a computerized thing, and many of you maybe have gotten this, where there's a warrant for my arrest, and if I don't call this number, and, I'm always trying to convince my mother, don't answer the phone unless you recognize the number, but she likes to answer the phone anyway, and people are very convincing, and it can be very intimidating. And like Sue had mentioned, we don't want people to be embarrassed and not report it. So if somebody, and that's where we want people to, the community, to check on your older neighbors. If you see some strange cars in their driveway, or repairmen, or we have an older woman that lives across the street from us, and one of our neighbors went over just to find out. She had a repair guy there, wanted to make sure that everything was okay, and she actually had called him. So it really is good. Don't be afraid to be a nosy neighbor, because sometimes these scammers are very very good at what they do. And most of the scams are not reported because people are embarrassed. But you really should call the local police and report it, even if they can't get your money back or whatever had happened. You still should report it, because they do investigate these things.
Well, and one thing too to look for with your elderly neighbors is if you see the mail collecting in the mailbox, or the papers collecting on the porch, and you haven't seen them out for a while, because self-neglect, I think, is a big issue as well, because as seniors age and they're living alone and they're feeling isolated, they might start getting depressed and not take care of themselves. So kind of look for those little things. If you haven't seen them out in their yard lately, you might want to go check and see if they're okay. And it's okay to call someone like Office for Aging or us and say, my elderly neighbor seems very depressed, or she's showing a lot of signs like she's got a broken arm and a bruise. It's okay to be concerned and kind of alert people to that.
Yeah, we even get calls from the Office for Aging. One of the programs that we do have is elder abuse prevention and outreach program. So we do try to educate the community, and if we can put in services or connect them to different things, like if you've got somebody that, sometimes someone will call in and say, oh, my neighbor, her grandson's living with her, and I've noticed that he's having all these parties, and I haven't seen her outside, like Sue had mentioned, anymore. We can either contact the authorities or go out and check it out and see what the situation is. And there is a great need out there for people. A lot of the older people in our area, their relatives, their kids, their children, their extended family has moved away, and they do have some friends, but they still can struggle. And you can call mom or dad on the weekends or every other day, and a phone call is one thing, but when you actually see what's happening in the house, a lot of times our phones explode after Thanksgiving and Christmas because family have been home. I know Sue's referrals go up then, and everybody actually sees what is actually happening, and that my mom's not able to clean the house anymore, or she was paying this woman that she ran into, and like Sue had said, there's we don't want you to be leery of everybody, but maybe she took her money, or the banking institutions are very good in this area about recognizing financial exploitation and abuse. They will call in if they see that somebody is slightly confused and they have a younger person with them. The same time every month, it's trying to get them to take all their money out of there or add them on a bank account. So a lot of that is also what we're really trying to warn people about. But like Sue had said, if you see somebody that just hasn't been out, we do get a lot of calls from concerned neighbors, or even sometimes some store managers might call and say, this woman's been in and she seems slightly confused. She's not taking care of herself like she used to. You know, if you can get their name and their address, we can try to track them down and see if we can actually help with some of the needs that they are experiencing.
It is incredible how much our seniors, they need support. A lot of, I have experience in going with, in some nursing homes, we did a outreach for Christmas, and just a small gesture, we were just singing Christmas carols, and they joined in, and it's just a small gesture. If you have a neighbor who's elderly, check on them. I mean, abuse can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. There's so many things that they're vulnerable to at this age, and just to know that there's an organizations that are out there that are allowing them to have support, have care, have the resources that they need in order not to suffer at the hands of someone, at the hands of the environment or anything. It's just amazing. And again, guys, this is Encounter with Broome County Council of Churches. We are with Sue Spencer and Lisa Shaw. We're just talking about Elder Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, which is such a poignant topic, not only just in our community, but just in our day and age. We need to be aware. We need to open our eyes to the things that are around us and not close our eyes and not walk away, but get involved. Get involved if there's something that you are seeing. They say if you see something, say something. Don't turn a blind eye to if there's someone being abused in your neighborhood or someone that you know. Make sure that they have the support that they need. And just going back on the topic of support, volunteers are a huge component to making sure that the wheels of these things go around. So can you guys just give me just how important is volunteerism and community support important to this cause and your organizations?
Well, my program would not exist if it wasn't for volunteers. I mean, our volunteers are amazing people who just want to give a helping hand and give back, but they're also the eyes and the ears for us too, because a lot of times we'll get a call from a volunteer. You know, I picked up Mary today, and you know, she seemed a little disheveled. Her house seems to be messier than normal. You know, just wondering if you could see, you know, if. And a lot of times, you know, we'll just kind of make a friendly call and say, oh, how are things going? You know, we try not to be too intrusive, but just to kind of feel them out. And often they'll tell us everything because they just like to have someone to talk to. But if we can refer them to someone else, like Office for Aging, maybe they have some records on this person and that type of thing. But volunteers are so important, and we will take as many volunteers as we can get because the need is huge. And there's several opportunities. If you're not comfortable with driving, there's other ways to stay in touch and help the seniors in our community. So.
Yep, and our Meals on Wheels volunteers throughout the county also are a very good set of eyes on individuals. They'll, as they deliver the meal, you know, they get familiar with the person, and you know, they've been able to alleviate some situations where they went in and this person was, you know, very lethargic, hadn't been taking their insulin correctly, and they called into the main Meals on Wheels office, reported it. They got a hold of their emergency contact, and actually they ended up calling the ambulance, and the person was treated, got their diabetes under control, and then was released back to their home. And you know, the family was very grateful and said that, you know, possibly that person might not have made it if the volunteer hadn't reported it. And I know Sue has her same stories with her volunteers. So like you had mentioned, volunteers are very, very important. That's for sure.
So, I mean, there's so many different stories that we can tell. If you guys can give just a generic story of maybe someone who was helped by your program that was very grateful and that came out positive on the other side, maybe any one of you can give a positive experience or share a story.
Well, I can give a lot, but I mean, the one that comes to mind that I think was very, you know, we just felt wonderful about. I mean, we feel wonderful about all of them, but we had a woman who had to get up to Binghamton General Hospital daily during the week for treatment, and she was actually hitchhiking on the highway to get there if she couldn't find a ride. We weren't able to take her every day, but we did get the wheels started, and we got a support group of people that would do that. But as we got to know her more, we found out that she was really eligible for Medicaid, which would have transported her every day up there, but she wasn't able to get the paperwork together. So this is what I love about the collaboration between all these organizations. We got her connected with someone who would actually come into her home and help her go through the process, and eventually she got her Medicaid qualification, and now she has a ride every day to get what she needs. And that's what I love, is the collaboration between all the organizations in the community to work to help this person and all the others too. And Office for Aging, we coordinate with the shopper program to make sure that people get their groceries. And it's just, there's a lot of feel-good stories that I could tell.
That is so amazing. If we could just quickly give out those numbers again, starting with Lisa, and we'll give the number for Sue, just how people can really reach out.
Okay, if you call 778-2411, we will connect you to whatever agency or whatever services you're actually looking for, and we do have trained staff that'll really look at the whole picture of what's going on with you or a neighbor or a family member, and really try to see what is out there to support people. So like you had mentioned, there are a lot of services. Sue mentioned it. There's a lot of services out there. We really, as this month is Elder Abuse Prevention Month, want to encourage people to call in. We work with all kinds of different agencies. And we didn't mention the Department of Social Services also has an elder abuse unit where they actually will open up cases and work with people.
Quickly, Sue.
And if you are interested in services or in volunteering, you can call 724-9130. And if we can't help you, we'll certainly help you find the resources you need. So.
Thank you, friends, for joining us for Encounter with Broome County Council of Churches. This has been an eye-opening interview with Sue Spencer and Lisa Schuhle, just knowing that our elders have support, they have hope, they have care in this community, and knowing that you as a community member and as a listener and as a viewer can take the initiative to get involved this month and just be a part, be aware, get the knowledge and information just about Elder Abuse Prevention Month. I thank you for tuning in to Encounter. Thank you for all of our sponsors here, and you guys have an amazing, amazing blessed week. Thank you for tuning in.